My name is Tank, and this is the Speak Project. Tonight we have my very, very dear friend, the Mr. David Hayden. Among many things that he is famous for, he was on the cover of Forbes magazine in 1999 as the part of the tech giants who revolutionized the way that we see technology. David is the one who actually invented the cloud that everybody is so commonly uses these days. David also had one of the very first, before there was Google, he created Magellan, which was a more of an open source platform and much more efficient and would actually give you accurate information versus just what Google is trying to feed you. And that's just the beginning. David has many, many talents that I'm going to let him talk to you about. David Hayden, are you there? David Hayden is not there. Gunnar, are you there?
Tank, I'm here. Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, David, there you are.
I'm here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm here.
So, I want to, David, just so everybody, if it's okay, well, I think we should start here. David had a very serious stroke about a year and a half ago, David? Is that right? David, are you there? Hayden?
Rob, I'm right here. Yep, sorry, I'm right here. Yes.
Okay. So, Hayden, could you, now, I'm going to call you Hayden because that's what I always call you, and calling you David just seems awkward. So,
you can call me Hayden anytime you want to. That's fine with me.
Okay, good. All right. So, Hayden, could you talk about, I think we should start here because I think it really humanizes the experience of what you went through. Could you just talk about what happened when you had your stroke? You just kind of paint that picture for us?
Yep. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're clear.
All right, thanks.
Yes, you're clear, David.
I'm gonna call you Tank if that's okay.
I go by Tank. It's okay. That way I know who I'm talking to.
Yep.
You're good, man. Go ahead.
So yes, about a year ago, I had a very serious stroke. I went out for I'm lucky and grateful to be here, and would not be a word not for Tank for your amazing, heroic, and hard work these last many months that brings this about. So thanks for everything that you are doing. I'll just tell you, it's kind of a good story. It's a true story. If my dad would always tell me before he would tell me anything, which made me wonder, what have you been telling me all these years that this is a true story now? So I'm going to tell you all a true story about me. I've always loved dogs. I have an amazing dog right now. And this dog saved my life. So I went out for a walk one summer evening, beautiful in Idaho here. And I sat down on a bunch of grass by a big rock. And I found that when I was ready to continue walking, I could not get up. I literally didn't have the strength in my body. It was like all my strength had left my body. I had no strength, nothing. I didn't feel like anything had happened to me other than I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move a thing to do anything. So I looked around, but I felt in my being that if I could just stand up, I could walk away, walk back to my truck. And I thought, how am I going to stand up? I could cut a leg, climb up this little rock. But no, I couldn't even do that. So I looked around, I saw a bunch of trees growing at what ended up being the top of a steep ravine. So I rolled on the grass over and over down to the trees and stopped at one of them, kind of turned my body around, tried to climb up the tree. I ended up slipping on the tree and fell down into the ravine and landed face first in a bee's nest. Ended up getting stung right away by the bees that were mad at me for invading their evening. And my dog, Loyal girl, her name is Stella. She stayed at the top of the path where I started left. And she just started barking barking. Oh, I was on a golf course. She started barking, so finally some golfers drove by in their little cart, and they stopped. They said, "What's going on?" I could hear them. They said, "What's going on down? There's something down there." They yelled. They found me. They yelled down to me. I was able to hold up my hand, waved at them, say, "Yeah, I'm here." And so to make a long story shorter, they of course called 911 immediately, and the paramedics took me out of there on a stretcher, put me into an ambulance, and unfortunately it makes me sad to think about it. They took me away, but they left my dog there. They got me down to the hospital, and then immediately when I'm in the hospital, they're going to ask them what they did. I get the CAT scan. They knew I was serious. I had some kind of stroke, and the doctor they said, we need to we need to operate. They weren't going to amputate my head. No, that was not a big.
Thank God. That would have been awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ultimate remedy to a stroke, I guess.
So, David, let me recap that before you go on anything else. So, you were out in Idaho, and you were just taking a walk with your dog like you've done a million times, and you sat down on a rock, and suddenly you just couldn't move. You couldn't get up.
Right, I sat down against the rock, exactly.
Yeah, and then what you felt was if you know David Hayden, by the way, the man basically will himself to do anything. So it would not have surprised me if he said, "I had a stroke and then I walked home, ran a marathon," because he's just that kind of guy, for the record. But so you figured if you could will yourself to your feet, you'd be okay. And when you tried to, you slipped, fell down into a ravine on top of a beehive nest, right? That is these are like, I'm assuming they're the type of wasps that gather in the ground.
No, that's right. We always like to add insult to injury. That's what my dad always said. Don't add insult to injury. Since then, in the business, to add insult to the injury, I was already suffering. So I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I want to make sure I want to make sure it gets out there clearly. So while you're laying on the ground, you are being stung by bees to add insult to injury, as Mr. Hayden, father, said. And in the midst of this, your very loyal dog, who you've had for as long as I've known you, and Stella, who is very much a part of the family. Stella started barking hysterically to some people who were going by, correct? And they were waiting to see if there was somebody down there. And the best you were able to do is to lift your hand up just to let them see that you were there. And then they had you medevaced, right? They had to actually have a helicopter come get you?
Yeah, they call it life flighting. Like I was life flighted from one hospital to the other. And then while I'm en route, they're calling my family saying, "You better get out of here. We don't think this young man is going to make it." So my family, of course, is in a panic, and they all convene in the outside of the operating room. So they flew me from some valley, from what's called the Wood River Valley, down to Boise in a helicopter. I guess when I think back, I was kind of fun. I was pretty much out of it at that time. So anyway, yes. So I went to surgery right away, where they took out a portion of my skull to give my brain room to expand. I was bleeding on the brain at the time. Got connected to the stroke.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you basically, since then, you've had to reteach yourself how to kind of talk again and just kind of function in general, correct?
I have. Yeah, it's been it's a long, slow process to retrain to reopen the neural pathways, to go from the brain to the arms and fingers and that kind of thing. So the surgeon told my family will give him 1% chance of making it through the surgery. And 1% chance of ever talking or walking, but I'm talking sort of, I'm not talking perfectly, just to be honest with you. I feel like I'm stuttering a little bit, I apologize for that. But anyway,
David, you're doing fine, by the way. You're doing fine. You sound good. You're okay. Don't worry about that at all. I understand what you're saying. I understand what, your normal, tonal articulation and your normal dictation isn't what it was before. Which is actually nice, because you were kind of a jerk before. So now you're pretty sweet. Fine.
All right.
Nah, I say that with you know I say that out of love. So so dude, now you're now one of the things that I'm just going to mention, David, and I won't say what it is, but you know, David has this exceptional mind, and he's always inventing, and he's always creating. He is one of the first creators, right? That's what we affectionately call the group in Create Change, and he was the original member, and he was working on something that he just recently. Before he went down with a stroke, he was working on something that is top secret, and he just sent me the diagrams on it, and they are so beyond incredible. They're like from outer space. I mean, they're amazing. So that's the kind of person you are, David. So let me ask you now: are you connected in the sense of, you know, when you're dealing with your own recovery, it's kind of hard to be connected to the chaos that's going on in the world. What's it like for you right now?
Well, first of all, thank you for the nice things you've been saying about me. I certainly don't deserve them, but thank you. I'll pay you back.
You know, first of all, stop. Now, listen.
Yeah.
You know that's not true. You do deserve them, right? You do deserve them. So, and that's okay, by the way. That's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Because you know, we our relationship, David and I have been very good friends and been through some tumultuous things together, and but it's always based on honesty, which at times is brutal. We've had many brutal conversations. So no, those accolades are very much true. They're very true. So, like I said, Dave, now, so in this moment, you're trying to recover, and we've talked about some things that we're going to do for you that I think will help dramatically with stem cells very shortly once funds come in. Are you in tune, though, with kind of the war going on in politics and things of that nature?
I'm very in tune with it. Yeah, even though I'm in Idaho, I'm in it's an isolated. Most of the people here do not like the president, but that's their own person, their own problem. I'm very much in tune with it. I stood my own ground for what he's trying to do to help the planet, and I believe in what he's doing. I'm up for it. Yes, I'm in tune with it. I find that since my stroke, I process some things more slowly. I process like emotional, not my own emotions. I get confused more easily by other people's confusion and their own emotional confusion. I find that I'm not as quick as I used to be in that way. I could just snap my finger and just dismiss this. Oh, that's nothing. Just don't worry about that. I don't do that as easily as I used to. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it'll slow me down, make me more empathetic or compassionate. I don't know.
No, I think that's very possible. I think your attitude about it is very humble and appreciative, and I appreciate it. I know it's hard.
Well, I know it sounds corny. I've heard it before. I do think this in some ways, in many ways, to be revealed. This is a gift to me to have this. It's tough. It's tough not being able to go out and take a hike when I want to. Just everything's a little harder. I am so lucky to be alive, and I feel that in my bones.
Yes. If nothing else,
I want to make one adjustment to what you said. Again, it's a nice compliment. I think rather than inventing the cloud, I would rather say that I was one of the first to recognize that that we could actually deliver services through a connected network of domains and servers. That was really the first company to even try to, and we invented a new way to do. So I think I was the first to organize it. Do you think this information can be delivered in a more organized way if we did things differently? And I'll tell you, in the beginning, nobody got that at all. I cannot understand how hard it was to raise money for what now, of course, is an obvious idea, but nobody really nobody, the venture capitalist I talked to in the beginning didn't really understand it, and that's okay. And not too many people, except for you, understand what we're talking about doing when we talk about building this luminous crystal network thing that I talked about in my TED Talk. There are a few people, except for you, you understood it right away. And that's cool. It is definitely otherworldly. it's a very simple idea, but the execution of it is where the tricky part. So the basic idea is that the world is, we are all already so connected with each other in what I'll call this in the field, or through the ether, or whatever word you want to use, for the invisible particles that connect thoughts and ideas, both telepathic and just regular thoughts. Whether the electromagnetic connection doesn't matter. So I'm just saying that exists, and there's a way for us to access it both singularly and together. Of course, if we do it together, we're more powerful. That's really what we're building what I call it an API, an application interface, an interface to this network that will be distributed through a very simple and fun app. That's the basic idea that I've been talking about. That's what we're working on coding now. It definitely looks like it's from another universe to me sometimes, and sometimes it is. Yeah, it's cool stuff. We'll talk more about it some other time, but not tonight, okay?
No, and okay. You brought up a lot more than I was going to. I am going to repeat what you said, if that's okay. Just to be, and I won't mention.
I'm listening. If you get something wrong, I'll correct you gently, okay? I promise.
It's okay. So.
All right, cool.
Hayden is talking about a new form of internet that would not even be possible to be regulated the way it is now, or to be used the way it is now, because it would be powered by crystals, is what he's talking about, and it would be based on your personal energetic signatures, I'm going to say, Hayden, and I know what it really is, but we're going to call it that. And this would be something that would travel, and communication would travel through, the energetic ether, the magnetic field, the same thing that connects everything on the planet, moving through the source energy, the God particles, literally communicating instantaneously from place to place. And essentially, you would be your own conduit. You'd be your own, VPN, so to speak. The central point would be you. And essentially, when you use, your cell phone, you could call on it. You use the computer, but you are the generator of the source to utilize this internet. And that's what Hayden has been working on, and was working on before his stroke. So that's, that's the bare bones of it.
That's very well said. I would just add one little bit. When we think of code, we think of code. We write code and we enter the code into a machine, ask this machine to interpret our code for us. I'm just saying that it's simpler than every gesture that we make is a code. Like just me putting one finger, that's code. That's a message. Or that's code as well. Or like in yoga, a mudra is a code. If I hold my thumb to my forward finger with my right hand and make a little kind of like an AOK symbol, that's code as well. That's what I call code. I just want everyone to think differently about. That's what I did in my talk. I'm inviting you to kind of suspend what you think you know about in order to think differently, you need to let go of what you think you know. That's my key to life, is let go of what you think, kind of suspend what you think you know. We really don't know what we think. We really don't know as much as we think we do. We know far more than we even imagine.
I
interrupted you again. I apologize.
No. I interrupted you. You're good. So, if anybody has never heard of David Hayden, you can look up David Hayden and look up the TED Talks. We will post that on the Speak Project, and on the Speak Pro Radio, we will post the link to that. And you can see David talk about a subject that is infinite in possibilities. It could have a million talks on it, but he talks about imagination and the power of our imagination. And what he always starts with, and has said to me for years, is that we really have to let go of everything we think we know. David, I've been talking about that a lot over the past year, is that people get married to these absolute truths. And these absolute truths they base everything else they know around those things. And I've always, something I really got from David was, when you are really able to excel to your highest potential, it's because you let go of everything you think you know, including your absolute truths. Because in that is where you realize that you're not limited by anything, which I think is a pretty consistent with your message.
Yeah, it's very well. I'll tell you, the stroke made me let go of a lot of what I thought I knew about myself and about life and how I would live. Yes, relearning even how to walk again. That's a real come up. I'll tell you. So much that we take so much for granted, for sure, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do. And now, David. Okay.
Yeah.
So David and I used to go back and forth about this for a couple of years, and and I was always trying to look for the silver lining in things, and David always kept me balanced with things. Now, before anybody was ever suspicious that we knew, at least on our level, of the Chinese elders, David Hayden told me they are just the new faction of the cabal that is now in charge. David, you remember that?
I do remember. I do remember that. I do remember that. Yep. I didn't offend any of them by saying that. Probably did. Anyway.
I hope you did offend them because you were absolutely right. So, David, after all this time, I'm here to apologize. You were absolutely right. The Chinese elders are just the dragon families of the Illuminati, who are based out of the East. And you were right. And that comes in part because David had you had a lot of business, right, with the Lees.
I did, right? Yes, I did. Yep.
And David, now tell me something. Now, you've been at the White House with some of the different presidents. Like, who were you there with? Which presidents?
Clinton was president when I was there, and yes, I did meet with him. I sat down with him for a few minutes to listen to him talk to me about how he thought things were. He was telling me what he thought of technology at the time was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it was a total thrill and an honor to be there.
So now, in your journey, right? There's been moments where you've had dealings with these factions, which are falling now, after all this time, which we knew would have to happen, and we thought it would happen a different way. Now, but they targeted you specifically in a lawsuit that you should have. You had all the evidence. You definitely should have won, right?
That's right.
You mind talking about that a little bit? Because it's a unique experience. I don't think many people. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mind talking about it. It's one of the things when you enter a lawsuit, be very careful who you're going to end up against. So I started out thinking that some of my things have been not well handled. In truth, when I look back on it, I had made some big mistakes in how I handled my own personal worth at the time. And it's like we all do. Sometimes I trusted the wrong people too much and paid the price for it. And ended up having a lawyer tell me he thought I could win the case. In the beginning, it was against a small investment banker firm, which ended up being bought by a larger bank, which ended up being bought by the largest bank in the country at the time. So what started out as a fairly simple lawsuit or complaint to retrieve what had been lost, I think, through just mismanagement by others, not necessarily by me, but by me in the beginning. Yes, I'll take full responsibility for that. But it's just one of those things. It's kind of funny when I think about it. So one fish, I'm at there like fishing to get something, and the one fish gets swallowed by the bigger fish. It gets swallowed by the biggest fish in the ocean. I end up trying to reel that one in. There's no way they could outspend you to death in a lawsuit. there's just no way. That's when we should just tuck in our tails and turn and walk away from it. I didn't do that at the time. And it's been 10 years of my life. And brought in something we ultimately lost. And maybe that's, maybe all that's fair. I don't know. It is what it is. It's all history. What do they say? It's water over the water under the bridge. Whatever the metaphor is, it's past. I'll let it go. I've learned a lot about letting things go over the last 12 years. A lot. It didn't let go of life. I started writing more poetry in the process, and I'm happy about that. I think that's one thing you don't know about me. I actually write poetry. Some of it's halfway decent. I'll say that. Some of it, not all of it.
I believe it. I believe you. I'm sure. So, David, I just want to make sure to recap, because I really, what took place with you, I think is powerful. David was one of the leaders in this whole technological revolution that we've gone through over the past 20 or so years, and in that he built his company up. I think at one time it was worth about $500 million, right? Somewhere in that range. And in that lawsuit, they basically wiped you out, right? They took 10 years. And I've warned people about this before, because a lot of times people want to file lawsuits, and lawsuits always serve, it's like gambling against the casino, right? The casino always wins. A lawsuit's the same thing, right? The lawyers make the money, and the lawyers are loyal to the bar, right, or to the court. And in David's case, your lawyer actually betrayed you, essentially, and allowed you to lose because it didn't matter to him. He won either way, right? And
that's a pretty hard-nosed way to look at it. Yeah, I think he did, in his defense, he did his best, and he worked hard. Yeah, he invested his own time and some money of his firm's money in this too. And anyway, he's but right, we should have done it different. It'd be hard to say that he betrayed. I don't think he would feel that way. I think he would say, if he were, he did everything he could to help me. He would just say it was a tough case, or I had very, very little chance of winning, in spite of what he said along the way. We all thought we were going to win, but that's when. But you're right. The deck stacked against you when you take on a lawsuit. Like, you just don't know who's bought. You don't know who's bought, who's paid for, who's been bought. Even judges get bought.
Well, judges are currently involved in a lot of things where they're bought off. They're actually these. I don't know, David, if you've heard at all about the mortgage electronic registration system, which is, I believe, how they took your house, actually. And basically, a lot of these houses were registered to the judges, right? And they would have everything registered, different assets that are yours, and the judge would have their house in their name, and every house in the neighborhood would be in their name too. And they would have kind of ownership of all of it. Yeah. And so,
that's terrible.
Well, it is one of those things now, and I'll tell you, I'm not at all consumed by that, or even afraid of it, or worried about it. I just think it's good for people to understand that, when people want to demand, legal action, it's very frustrating when, your opponent has unlimited resources, and lawyers are experts at delaying, right? And they'll just basically starve you out is the tactic, right? They're masters at the long game, and it's at this point it's very transparent though, because it's easy to see through, because you know what they're going to do, because they do the same thing every single time. And in your case, they did that too. They just dragged you through it for all that time. And, and I apologize, the David Hayden, who I spoke to before stroke, would have definitely said his lawyer betrayed him. So you clearly have had an epiphany about a lot of things. So that's commendable.
Well, thank you. So I want to be clear about one thing. Hank, really clear about one thing for everyone listening. I mean, I'll be the first to say, I've had some tough rolls of it, some tough knocks. I've had some tough luck out there. But in no way do I think I'm a victim in any way. I just don't. That's not me. I don't even think, oh, poor David. He had a tough time against those big bankers. I don't want you all to think that. No, I don't think that. I fought tooth and nail for everything. I don't. In no way am I a victim. I refuse to take on a victim mentality about anything. I think you know that about me, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
Right.
David and I would often joke that when things got hard, and we would be talking, that he and I existed in some other astral realm together, and we made a bet on which one of us would be able to come out on the other side and survive if we made impossible circumstances. And we made the bet over a green woman that we were both in love with at the time. I mean, this didn't really happen, by the way. This is just our imaginations at work. So, yeah.
And this,
yeah. So
everyone, this is true. Really, it's just a way to say we are here by agreement. That's what Tank is saying. We agreed to take on all this difficulty. We agreed to be here.
So
I don't know what happened to the green girl. I know.
I don't. You know, she probably moved on to somebody else who was more emotionally available, right?
Might have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so David, so let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that, you know, you're one of the first people to ever really kind of open my eyes to that. Some people would refer to this as our soul agreement, right? And the idea is, and I use this example, that, and I'll use this example, you can take it or leave it, but just try to get the principle out of what I'm saying, anybody out there listening, is that, you know, there was, you know, everyone was standing around in heaven, you know, in perfect harmony and whatever, and you stepped forward, and you said, I want to learn this. And in this example, say, I want to learn what it feels like to have nothing, to not know that I'm powerful, not know who I am, and somehow discover who I am and overcome impossible odds. And in that, someone else stepped up, another angel or, you know, metaphysical being there with you, and they said, okay, I will do that for you. I will be your impossible opponent. I will defy you at every turn. I will try to stop you with everything in me. I will never quit. I will be relentless. And I will do that as a service to you so that you can learn the experience, you know, learn the lesson that you want to learn. Now, when you look at a soul contract like that, and then you apply it to your own life, you can appreciate that there isn't even really a need for forgiveness, right? Because, you know, even the people that we have the biggest quarrel with, we can appreciate that they were doing that, you know, as their soul agreement, and that soul agreement was with us because of a lesson that we ourselves wanted to learn, and that we willingly take 100% responsibility for everything that we are and everything we've gone through and everything happening, that the reality we live in is the one that we created and that we hold, you know, and we set the rules for. And so even those that are diabolically evil, you know, they have magnified the light in us. They have forced us to remember who we are. They have forced us to examine ourselves and see where we're lacking, and then dig deeper and find out what our true potential is. And I think that's about right, David. That's kind of in line with what you're talking about? David, did I lose you? Well, Hayden, if you're there and you need to come back on, feel free. Hayden is, I think he's in Idaho right now, so the service there is not the best. But Gunnar and I can talk about some other things for a minute while we fill time. I did want to tell everyone while I have this momentary break that the reason why we have this show is we really want to examine and talk about the amazing world of technology, of innovation, of humanity that exists right within the Creators Network, right within our group, our small group here. And in this small group of projects of roughly 1,000 projects or so, we have some of the most amazing technology in the world, some of the most amazing minds in the world, and a lot of their ideas, their innovative, incredible ideas, have been suppressed. And the reason why they've been suppressed is because they haven't been able to get funded. And what happened to a lot of people that were looking for funding many years ago is they were brought in and told that there was prosperity packages, and they would, be able to pursue their research or whatever because they'd receive a prosperity package. Now, I can tell you those prosperity packages are not real. Well, they may have been real at some point, but they've been stolen since, and they are not coming out. Then there was another plan that we refer to as the Global Currency Reset. And the Global Currency Reset essentially was where all of the money would be brought to equal value. So war-torn countries like Iraq and Vietnam and Africa, or Zimbabwe, they would have their currencies brought up to the same value as the U.S. dollar, 1-to-1. But before that would happen, the Chinese elders, because the power structure was designed to transfer to the East, the Chinese elders would have the revaluation, and they would reap the benefits and ultimately become the power source in the world. And that was the general belief amongst a lot of us for a while that was going to happen. So a lot of the really innovative and progressive movement that was taking place to bring that reality into existence, it stopped because everyone stopped to wait for the currency revaluation. And that was a technique, actually, they used to stall us. And the global currency reset was really not that. At the highest levels of the order, it was just the global reset. And the global reset was to reset the population of the planet and start over. And they basically would reap and, rape the entire planet because all of the assets on the planet, including the in-ground assets that were allegedly going to back the currency reset, they were all registered to something called the unknown country, which was the central bank of central banks, even above the Federal Reserve. And that was always based in a quantum system, which often is referred to as a quantum financial system, but it's actually a quantum mapping system. And the quantum mapping system mapped everything on the planet. Anything that had any value at all was mapped into the system, and ownership was taken. And so basically what would happen is one of the Rothschild, dragon families would come and they would take the ownership of your house. And they would take your house and they would register it into the unknown country. And when they did that, that was also called the asset redemption program. So that's how money was made. And they would spit out an allocation of currency, and that allocation of currency would be connected to the asset that was just turned in. And that's why currency has always been asset-backed. Now, what they did over time is they started making counterfeit super notes, which are $100 US dollars, right? But they were made from the exact same printing press that the Federal Reserve, made the real US dollars, but they were duplicating the allocation numbers. And then eventually they just kind of scrubbed the allocation numbers in the system after 2007, because in 2007, every single asset on the planet was registered. So the comptroller at that time was referred to in every major international document as the great dictator, sometimes the king of kings, and when it came to the Federal Reserve, he was referred to as the arbiter. And essentially, he had the final say on everything. It didn't matter what the document said, because at the end it said, unless this is all subject to the will and desire and the pleasure of the king of kings or the great dictator. Because that one man had military control of the entire planet for thousands of years and was able to completely manipulate and pervert the collective consciousness of all of humanity. And believe it or not, humanity is an extension of the very planet itself, right? All the elements you find in planet, you find in people. And we are supposed to be the caretakers of the planet. And So therefore, our collective consciousness creates the reality of the planet. So if our health is diminished, so goes the planet. So that's a reality that's not commonly talked about in any alternative media source. It's not something that people fully appreciate or understand. And the world that we live in, though, and where we're going, it's very important to understand those things so that we can move forward. Because if we don't understand where we came from and what we've gone through, it's going to be very hard for us to build a brand new world, and without ever having any recollection or real experience with who we are. But there is truth that is laced in everything we've ever seen, ever experienced, ever done. And in that truth is the great power of the human spirit. David, is that you?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. David, I was just talking about. Yeah, I hear you, David. I was just talking about the great power of the human spirit.
I listened to everything you said. Sorry, I lost everyone there for a minute. I got these new AirPods in my ears. I was shaking my. They fell out. When did that happen? I lost you. I apologize for that. But I am back. I can hear you. Hopefully, you can all hear me. Okay.
No problem, man. You're good. So yeah, dude. So feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I was just building this off of what you said, that we take so many things for granted, right? And
yeah, we do.
It's been an incredible journey. So, years ago when David and I would talk about this stuff, we didn't even appreciate or realize that it looked like to us that the Rothschilds and the Lees, that they controlled the world, but it was really there was always a higher force above them.
Right.
That's
I don't think anyone heard anything after we're talking about the green woman. I think everyone went blank after that. You better experience that.
I know. I was like, did he just get the girl? What happened? What happened? That's so funny.
It's always been a good fun thing between us.
Always.
Yeah.
So, David, I know that you would. By the way, David and I are close like this. At the TED Talks, he quoted my 6-year-old son.
Yeah.
Because
brilliant.
My 6-year-old son one time. Yeah, it was really genius. My 6-year-old son woke up one day, and he said, "Dad, I was having the best dream." And I said, "Man, we'll go back to bed." And he said, "Dad, the first thing you got to do to make your dreams come true is to wake up." I'll tell you what, that is David quoted that in his TED Talk. I was so proud. I was so proud. It was always my dream to speak at the TED Talks, and then David got in. And now I don't even want to be associated with them. They're like the transgender pedophile as a normal sexual activity / depopulation talks. Awful. What do you think about that, man? I mean, do you realize that's going on? I mean, do they still contact you at all?
I didn't realize that the mainstream, the big TED has gone in that direction. That's sad to hear. It doesn't surprise me. No, I didn't know that was going. That's terrible. Really, it's terrible.
Yeah,
that was not the TED. That was not the TED talk that I gave. No, it's just terrible. That's going to shock people a lot. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, my talk was what's called the TED. Does the little satellite talk called TEDx. And I gave the talk here in Sun Valley, Idaho. It's the first TEDx event ever here. I consider it's happening exactly after a TED talk. So it was not on the big TED stage, It was a little smaller venue. Anyway, no, I didn't know all that.
So David, we're gonna put this technology to work on you, right? We're gonna take these For anybody who doesn't know, the way the stem cells work is that a lot of times they're talking about all types of stem cell therapies, which they're all going to have healing properties. But the best way to do it is to take your own stem cells from your body and then reproduce them in into a much like a billion times, and then you re-inject your own stem cells back in your body. And this it literally has an unlimited amount of applications because your stem cells, they are familiar with your original coding, and they'll literally go into your body and they know that, well, this isn't right, and they just know how to go in. Just speaking of coding, right? And they'll go into your body and they'll recode you, and they can fix virtually anything. That's why, if anybody's familiar, that they'll save the umbilical cord, right now after a woman gives birth, and they'll keep that, and they'll tell you that you can use that in the future if someone gets a disease in your family, or because it's such a specific match that it can be used to do anything. But in that they also probably take our DNA, but in hindsight, because we actually have cord blood saved. But you got to think, if that was just reproduced over time, that's something that could be used on a regular basis to maintain optimal health. And we're gonna work with. It's okay. And one of the project owners. Yes, sir. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
So one of the project owners, David, within our network, and I know that they are experts in the field of stem cells, and we're going to use that on David. And then David, I have another group who they have created a platform to change the world, and it is a speaking event comparable to the TED Talks, and they are going to launch that around the world and go on tour. And David, we are gonna get you fixed up, and one day in the not so distant future, we will look back on this call, and when you get up to speak at that convention with perfect clarity and perfect health, the entire world will be in awe. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. That's so great. I got one thing to ask you. What you've been saying about stem cells, everything you've been is accurate and correct. I have a friend who's doing similar. What she does, she takes our blood and then she matches it to it. She gets the frequency of the stem cell in the blood and matches that to a laser to laser light, uses laser light to deliver the stem cells. Pretty cool.
So he's delivering the stem cells using the laser light?
Yeah, she is. She's delivering using laser light. I just think that's freaking awesome. I really do. No surgery. Then you are getting your stem. The thing they do is what you're talking about. They want to make sure they spin the blood so they really get they extract the right combination of white cells. What is it they need to do? I don't know what that is medically. It's quite a process. She's one of the few people in California doing it. I don't even know who invented this machine, but she operates a laser machine. Very cool.
So that's pretty. So it's adjusting your regular cells to the frequency of your stem cells, and then just basically injecting them back in your body.
No, it's just saying, all right, the cells, the frequency that we want, and then it's matching the light to that frequency or whatever that cell is. So I would say that's kind of the hip thing now. Everything is frequency. It's truth. Even the heart is opposite of frequency. Every chakra has a frequency.
Right. Every cell in the body vibrates at an optimal frequency, and if you
correct.
I have a bioscan at my house right now that I use on a regular basis for my family, and what it does is it is 70% more accurate than an MRI, and it will go into the body. And wow. I've watched it happen over and over again. I mean, we use it all the time. If my kids start to get sick, I try to use it as maintenance more than anything and just prevent that. But I spent a solid month adjusting every single part of my body down to the cellular level, so that I would just optimize my frequency, because this process has been pretty pretty treacherous. And then, it can identify, when you have, heavy particles in your body and various things that shouldn't be there. And it takes a while, but it will even break those up. I mean, just by using frequency. Because first it scans you, and then it goes in and identifies, here's the deficiency, and it will work on that frequency until it optimizes it. And then what it does, once it optimizes the frequency, then your body can recover. So it's pretty amazing, what can be done with the right frequency. But, I talked to somebody who really did a lot of work with this and has done a lot of amazing things. And they said to me that, if you just, your child comes and, I'll put it like this. The other day I was laying in bed, and I was on the phone talking to people, and my daughter came up, because my daughter does not care if I'm on a conference call with the ambassador of Wakanda. She does not care, right? So she came in, laid down on my chest, and she goes, "Daddy, all you need is love." And that's all she said. I'm telling you, I realized when she said that, my 6-year-old, I realized in that moment there wasn't a question I had that day that didn't answer. But the point was that something like that could completely revolutionize and increase your frequency naturally, right? Just by what we choose to focus on, what we choose to allow into our field. And even the love we express, being in love. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who gets sick when they're in love. When you are just head over heels and you found the one, and you're excited, you got that person on your mind all the time. You just naturally, your frequency increases. And it's not just love. Look, it's anything. One of my favorite things to do, David, is when people are freaking out, like screaming and angry at each other, and they're honking their horns, and all throwing temper tantrums, but they can't actually do anything because traffic is gridlock. Man, as I pass on my smile, I sit there and I find myself happy, not because they're miserable, because I just feel like everybody's miserable in the midst of this. I'm not, and it's incredible how your own frequency can just change everything. And then the stronger we get, we create our own. Your buddy Foster Gamble talks about this in Thrive, right? About the replacing the torus energy fields. David, I gotta tell you that your boy Foster Gamble could have changed all this, right? Because Kim was trying to speak to him, and he had been all over the world trying to get this money out and that money out, and I'm sure he's still doing it because nobody has this money, right? All the money from the the secret vaults and all this stuff, right? Because Kim has removed all that. Sometime in the future, he's going to realize he had the opportunity, after all the work he'd done with the wrong people, he finally had the chance to work with the right person, and he just snubbed him.
I don't know why he did that. I haven't had a chance to ask him, but I will. Tank, before we get too far afield, you're on frequency, and how we vibrate all this frequency. Really, thought is another way. The way that people do any kind of distance healing is with thought, and learning that you have the power to send frequency with your mind is an important thing that everyone will learn. That's the crystal network, really, that works. We can do anything with our minds. Absolutely anything.
I've been healed by David several times, by the way. He has done that for me on a regular basis. Matter of fact, David kept me in the game often for a long time. He was able to clear things, especially when I was just learning. And it wasn't like I was any less outspoken. So when you're that outspoken, obviously you're a constant target. And there's a lot of energetic attacks that cause
nothing magical, just by keeping you clear of things that we're getting in your natural way. That was what all I did.
Yep, and that is a proven fact. I mean, that is an actual fact. So, and there's I work with some amazing energy healers now that we're constantly working on these things and trying to shift the energy, because we are multi-dimensional beings. We're not just limited to what we're doing in this body, but we extend through time and space and other dimensions and exist in all of them simultaneously. And in that, we're doing all types of other things, and as the energy moves, so does the body. David, Hayden, how, like, I love Bruce Lee, right? So Kim and I were talking about this one time, because Bruce Lee was like, superhuman, right? Because he played the top ping pong player in the world, with a big old ping pong paddle, and Bruce Lee was crushing him, making a sham with a pair of nunchucks. It was incredible, right? And but even when he would hit people, he would take down people that were so much bigger than him. And Kim told me, she said, well, what he was doing was, as he would throw a punch, one, he could see their energy coming. Yeah. And he could see their energy before they even moved. And when he would strike, his energy would hit them, throwing them backwards before even his fist ever touched them. And I was thinking about that because that is the power of the energy that we emit. And when you recognize that power's in you, and that's always what Bruce Lee was. He was always, he was a philosopher as much as anything else. He was always talking to people about that. Be like water. Yep. So, hey, David, you feel like hanging around, man? I know, we're just at an hour right now. Gunnar,
you just started Rod Sterling Twilight Zone, I think, a few minutes ago. I'll definitely hang around for a little while. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Gunnar, could you put your phone number out?
Remember who Rod Sterling was?
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. No. Love that guy.
Rod Sterling was from Binghamton, New York, right? Binghamton, New York. Yep. Binghamton, New York is where the computer was invented, and where IBM headquarters is, and that's also where I went to college. And I stayed in Binghamton one summer, and it is definitely the home of the Twilight Zone. I will nenever forget, I saw a 6'5" transvestite walking down the street holding hands with a very, I'm not sure what the appropriate term is, but a little person. And it wasn't a child, it was a fully grown man. It was the oddest couple I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, I'm in the Twilight Zone. Wow. This is where it comes from, right? Yeah. Yep. Actually, I think he invented it because in Binghamton, it goes back and forth to Seattle, but it was the second or first most overcast city in the nation. So people were constantly suffering from seasonal affective disorder, but it lasted every season. So it was a kind of a sad place a little bit. Gunnar, are you there, man?
But yeah, I'll definitely I'll stick around for a while. Happy to. Yep.
Okay. 1 second. I'm just going to put this. So if anybody wants to call in to ask a question in the next half hour or so, you can call in right now to 646-721-9771. And we'll be sure to bring you on. So, David, how is actually, I don't know if you want to talk about this on air, so I'm not going to mention it. But how's your family doing? How about that? Are they okay with you now? Yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not, they're glad that I've made it. My family's still, they're great. They're all good. I have a little sister too, and she's great. If anything, it brought us closer together.
Oh, that's really good. I'm glad to hear that. Because you had some friction there for a while.
A little bit, yeah. Well, and my mom's going to be 90 in September, if you can believe that.
That's amazing. That's great.
I think so. 90 is amazing, yeah.
Now, how is she doing with it? Your mom was suffering with Alzheimer's, right?
No, she has a little bit of dementia, which is more processing. Her memory is fine, but she doesn't process things very well.
Okay. Well, listen, David, we got a couple callers right now that are calling in.
Okay.
I'm going to start. If you are on the phone, if you're on the phone and you want to talk, turn down your computer and listen to the phone. Okay. About to bring on 757. 757, are you there? 757, are you there? Okay. 757 is out. We're going to get this. David, we're having a little problem still with the phone lines, but we're working on it. All right. I'm going to try again. See if there's else. 919.
I'm with you. Okay.
Hello, who's this? 919? Okay. Hang them up. And if anybody wants to call in, you're welcome to call back in and ask questions if it pertains to projects or project funding. I started to go into this, David, because I do think this is a really exciting time, and it's very different than anything we would talk about before. They would always, remember how we would just get so frustrated because it was just the same narrative being repeated over and over and over again when it came to, the RV GCR. So Kim has actually completely reprogrammed the entire financial system using a language that nobody else knows, a coded language that no one else, or very few people know.
That's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I actually believe it's written in kind of a source code, a creation code. So she took everything back to, this is just my theory. She's not telling me this, but I am pretty in tune with these things. So I believe she just took everything back to a creation code, the original creation code, right, that we all are written in, which, and David, in this time, you might not realize this, but back in April, Kim actually took the entire quantum system that touches every electronic device on the planet, and she changed the power source away from crystals and transferred it over to be completely powered by source energy. And then she allowed that source energy to literally pour in through the computers and every electronic device and add that in the Bible they would say what Adam was made from, the dust of the earth, right? Or that life energy. Some might call it manna, some might call it chi, some might call it the God particle, right? But she allowed that particle, right, that energy to literally pour into the system. And part of the reason why that was necessary is because they had all of these barriers built around the planet that were blocking this source energy and thus diminishing the power and capabilities of humanity, right? So by allowing this source energy to come in through the screen, it literally, kind of bypassed their whole system. And so
that sounds absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to hear more. Sounds incredible. Keep going, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Well, the reason why I mentioned it is because I knew you'd like that, because it's very much in line with something you were thinking of, right? It's the same kind of principle that you've been working with. So that source energy has been pouring into the planet, right? So it's been healing. So it's causing this great awakening, right? That I think a lot of people just need some direction on and need to know which way to kind of direct their energy right now. But if you were ever going to change the entire world, imagine, because Kim is bound by universal law, right? By natural law. So she can't do things like take aggressive strikes against them. So the reason why it was okay for her to make a move like that was because it was based in life, right? Now, I think this is a really incredible principle if everyone could focus on this idea, right? Instead of trying to destroy them, what she did was she just brought in more life. And by bringing in more life, what it does is it naturally destroys the darkness. It exposes it. It makes it diminish. So the focus and the key to winning the war is to not be at war, right? To overcome death, stop dying, start living, right? To overcome hate, don't hate back, because all you do is make hate win because you're increasing hate. Love more abundantly, love more completely. focus on what you love. Be in love. Find love. Perpetuate love. Make love. Right? All these things. And
can you hear me? This is Gunner.
Yes, I can hear you.
I apologize. I'm back from the dead.
This is an amazing call. Look, do you see what I just did? I just raised Gunner from the dead. We're not playing games today. I told you. All I had to do was talk about life and love. That comes Gunner.
Yep, you got it.
No worries. It's okay. So, yeah, Gunner, I don't know if if we're having any luck with the calls or if people want to call in, but that's okay. Those things will come over time.
I'll tell you when somebody else comes online.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up. It's okay. Hayden and I have talked about all types of things, and Gunner, I know you are a man of many talents, and you always have secret things that you're stewing on. So, because you have an opportunity right now, is there anything that is pressing on your mind that you want to talk about?
Oh wow. Well, you touched on frequencies before, and about DNA frequencies. That's really fascinating. I guess I never really thought of the idea of DNA having frequency. I guess I would like David maybe to go into more detail about when he was talking about how to clear your energy field, and how to maybe increase your own vibratory frequency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. And that's something. David, you feel up to talking about that? Hayden is down. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about love and life, and he will resurrect as well. So,
I'm here. I'm back.
What I tell you, I have exorcised the demons. All right, Hayden,
Hallelujah.
Go ahead, man. Hallelujah. Go ahead, David. Did you hear this question? You hear Gunner's question?
I heard the question. Yep. I want to do for everyone's benefit, but that's a much longer conversation and invites some refinement. I don't mind talking about it publicly, but what I do, I make sure that I can access like a clear channel to tank, and then if I'm do that, if I'm in a really quiet place myself, but I just access my. Well, I access my deepest meditative state as quickly as possible, and then I tune into tank, and then I feel like I'm connecting to the God source and the source really. And then I ask to see if there's any blocks and impediments in his field. I'll immediately see what it is, and then I'll just ask for that to be cleared, and then it's cleared and it goes. I wouldn't just go out and do this. I would practice this a little bit with somebody that can give you some feedback if you're serious about learning how to do it.
Yeah, that would be great.
I had lots of feedback when I was. Plus, I had a girlfriend who was this energy healer, worked in energy medicine professionally. Did distance healing, and I've had an experience myself. And been the recipient of good distance healing, so I could tell how it worked. So from there, I kind of put it together. I kind of reverse engineer for myself how to do it. The main thing is you're really accessing really high level of consciousness when you do it. Then you always have to ask permission of the other person, of their higher self, if you have permission to work on it. Never do anything without the other person's permission. So like with Tank, if I'm clearing Tank, I'll ask his higher self if I have permission to clear him. Unless I get a clear yes, I don't do anything. That's a really important rule. If there are any rules in space, that's a rule. trouble with using O's right now.
And so after you ask for permission, then how do you do the clearing?
It's an agreement, Gunner.
Okay, Gunner, remember, but before I ask for permission, I'm make sure that I'm connected to my highest self. And I'm connecting as close to source as I can. So I'll sit down, if I can do it, I'll sit down, I'll just meditate. I just want to be connected to source. And then once I'm connected, then I ask to get verification that I am connected to source, plugged in a sense. So once I'm there, then I can see things in the field. I can identify his unique signature.
So, Hayden, I'm gonna repeat a little bit of what you said, and now keeping in mind that this is one of those things where words really don't do this justice entirely. The universal language of everything is frequency and vibration. Everything speaks in that language, and the art of telepathy, to communicate telepathically, is through images and vibration, right, or the frequency. So you're able to often
that's very well said. Yep.
So often now everything is like that. Now it doesn't matter what dimension you're in; that principle still maintains. So in connecting with your higher self, right, which is all just you, and it's not better or worse. It's just a different state, right? In this density, we exist here now to access our higher energetic field.
Right. David's talking about.
Yeah. David's talking about accessing something and even healing with other people. So, once you have permission from someone else's higher self, you can assist them. But I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend spending your time with your own self. So, in connecting with your own self, recognizing that we are here on Earth, rooted and grounded, and the Earth itself is a living entity, and it is an extension, a reflection, it's its own energetic source, so to speak, just as God or the central sun or source energy, right? These are connected, directly connected. Now, if you consider standing on the Earth as a generator of this source energy, and then that and being grounded here, and then extending up yourself through multiple dimensions with unlimited possibilities in each one of them being individuated as some different aspect of you, but all connected to all parts of you at all times. And as you connect with all of those different fields independently and realize that's true, as you just allow yourself to realize that state, then from there you can identify issues within yourself, and you can create energetic fields around you to prevent negativity from becoming part of your field and becoming part of your reality, and protect yourself from those things, because they are constantly bombarding us with frequencies. But there is no electronic frequency that exists that is more powerful than the quantum universe that exists within you. Even the quantum AI is not more powerful than the quantum universe.
Right.
You can do anything. You are the power source, the generator that is literally that they're feeding off of. All of their power comes from you. Now imagine if you took all of your power back, how much you would increase your frequency. Because as they're pulling power away from you, if you just kept it, if you just didn't allow them to do it, if you didn't allow yourself to get upset about things that really don't matter, they're not even real.
Hey, Tank, if there's any secret in all this, you just said that the quantum universe is like everyone is a power generator in that universe. That's really true. That's a huge statement, the biggest statement of the night as far as I'm concerned, what I've heard.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
You said you did that all on your own. Hey, Gunner, if you want, Gunnar, if you want to talk about take this offline, I'll talk with you about it one-on-one anytime you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, but yeah, this is I'll say this too. I will tell you something, Gunnar, that Kim taught me in one of our very first real conversations. She taught me how to see these light particles, this source energy that literally makes up the structure, the substance that everything is created of. And she took me through a process where I realized this source energy is around us all the time. And she taught me how to draw that source energy into my body. And you essentially you're seeing it literally, physically, right with your own eyes. You know it's real. And then you're visualizing that and just drawing it in, through kind of the top of your head and kind of using you're drawing it down with your chi energy, right? You're basically allowing yourself to activate all aspects of the energy within you, from your crown down to your, I guess your sacral chakra. I mean, these are just words, though. They don't really, in my opinion, those are just what somebody defined them as. But you're literally just allowing yourself to see that happening. The same way when you take a deep breath and you feel the air go all, very deep in your body. And then as you let it out, that air circulates into the blood all throughout your body in one big rush, and it fills your body. Now, the energy that you're drawing in does the same thing. Now, if you bring that source energy into your body, the greater the concentration of that source energy in your body, the higher your vibration. Now, I've since become better at understanding it and using it, and the same thing. Now, a lot of times people say, well, we got to raise our frequency. Well, it's not just about raising your frequency. It's matching the frequency. So, depending on who I'm speaking with, I match the frequency. And when I match the frequency, I realize I'm able to communicate more clearly, because I'm communicating with not just words, but I'm on the same channel, right? And when it's just like the radio station, if you want to hear a song and you got it just one click over, you might hear parts of the song, but it's not clear. But you go one click over, now you're in the right frequency, you'll hear that song that you want to hear. So it's the same thing with people. And a lot of times we have miscommunications and negative outcomes because we're not on the same frequency. Gunnar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, you remember that one time you called me and kind of to check me? Do you mind if I talk about that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so this one time, David, you'll love this, because now Gunnar, this is exactly what happened when you and I talked, right? Just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what happened. Gunnar was under an attack, like an energetic attack, right? And stressed and feeling it. And we have a chat room of one of my core teams from the Speak Project called A-Bomb. It's the A-Bomb room, ABALM. Who's that? Okay. So, okay, so in the A-Bomb room, Gunnar came in. I hardly even go in there. I would just read people's texts. I hardly even post. And this one time, Gunnar put something out there, and it was a little aggressive, in my opinion, for the room, right? Because it was, really, really aggressive. Now, believe me, I'm a fan of aggressive, when it's appropriate. Gunnar had his life threatened once by some characters for putting, the picture of the Sun Tzu wheel on the Speak Project. And he called me up, and for a minute, he was freaking out. He was a little bit scared. We talked for about, maybe 30 minutes? Next thing I know, Gunnar's out there on Twitter going, hey, these guys just called me and threatened them. Guess what? Screw you. Really, which, what I thought was an appropriate, display of force, right? He counteracted what they were trying to do, was trying to make him scared. He took it and he used it to his advantage, got angry. But, so Gunnar, can you explain, without too much detail, basically, I said something that that cut Gunnar off, something Gunnar said, and it cut him off, and he felt that I undermined him, right? And he got really mad about it, and really lost. And we had never had a conflict of any kind. But Gunnar, you mind describing like what you were like, how mad you were when you called me?
Yes, I was extremely angry. It was just something that you had said on a bomb group about it was about somebody else actually that I was having a conflict with, and I felt as if you were supporting that person. And to tell you the truth, I don't think that you were trying to take anybody's side, but I took it as you know, as an attack on me, I guess, and I really laid into you and attacked you.
Okay, so wait, this was really, I mean, in hindsight, it was funny. In the moment it happened, it was a little startling. So Gunnar calls me up, and it was like F-bomb city for 30 minutes, right? You're nothing but the cabal. You're no good mother. Blah blah blah. I just can't believe. How dare you? You better listen to me. And then this was one of the funniest parts. Then and I didn't say anything because I could tell. Okay, something happened. And I'm really listening, trying to understand because I don't even know what he's talking about. But what I did is I just stayed there, and I held my frequency. That's all I did. I just held my frequency while Gunnar was going, and I let him go. And I made sure not to. I didn't let any of it hit me. I heard him. I understood he was going through a rough moment, and I just let that go because I knew who he is, and I'm like, no, I got to stick with him because something's going on. And I let him go and let him go. Then he hung up on me. Then he called me back, hung up on me again. Then called me back again. He said, "If you want to hear what I have to say, you better not hang up on me." I'm like, I didn't even defend myself and say. I just go, okay. And then we talked for another hour and a half, and Gunnar just kept going, and we just, each time things came up that were actionable we could actually address, we did. And you know what? And I'll tell you, it's not always easy to do something like that, but all I did was hold my frequency, and I listened carefully. And what I mean by that is I care fully. I put my whole energy into making sure I was completely engaged to understand what he was going through and what he was saying. And that practice of listening carefully is something that I think is strong enough to change the whole world. Because by the end of that conversation, Gunnar and I were friends again. Everything was cool. We didn't have a single problem. Now, what creates a problem? Now, what creates a problem is when I start going, "Who are you to talk to me like this, Gunnar? Don't you know who I am?" You know, and I get a whole big attitude about it. Right now, if I would have done that, I mean, we would have had a destroyed relationship, right? But just by approaching the whole situation with love and realizing, like, listen, this is my friend. This is a man who's done a lot for the movement, and staying with him, you know, we were able to kind of clear up that energy. Now, Gunnar, we went through this together. See, so you're a living witness of exactly how that energy gets cleared. It's, you know, connecting yourself to a stabilizing force, and in reality, becoming that stabilizing force yourself. And in that, I also think that, you know, that was a huge thing because it completely changed our relationship after that too. Because after that,
Hank, you and I had one of those too. I think we did maybe once or twice. They were probably my fault.
Maybe once or twice. Maybe half a dozen times. Maybe.
Maybe.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, and that's very good because you know, I've done that very same thing with people that I know as well, with people in my family and people that I work with, and you know, I mean, at times it's, you know, it's challenging to just hold the frequency, but you know, if you can do it and not get drawn into their rage, then it can actually help stabilize their frequency and their mood, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
That's right. And that's hard to do. You are right, though. It's hard to do, particularly with somebody that you have a, you know, like with your spouse spouse, I think, is one that's really hard at times because there's nobody knows how to get at your goat more than your spouse, right? They have a way of like knowing just how to insult you, right? Like, and to say something that they just know you're insecure about in that moment that they would normally never say, right? And they'll just keep at you. I mean, that happens, right? So, as a practice, I recognize the power of words, and it does not matter how mad I get ever. There are just things. There's lines I will never cross. I don't care how mad I get because those things are just too damaging, and I think that's really important for people to consider out there. I see this on Twitter all the time, and these different, people just want to go off and get angry and fight back. And I really am inviting people, and really, I don't know how to get it to go out more powerfully. But if you go to the Speak Project, the YouTube page for Speak Project, there's a little video there called #ILoveYou. And David, I don't know if I sent it to you, but I will. And I would appreciate it if you put that out to your LinkedIn network, just to share that with them, because you do have a really powerful network there. But one of the things I said is that in this movement, it is a cyber war and a frequency war. Now that's the reality, right? Now whoever wins that wins the whole thing. Now you see right now there's been a shift in the battle because all of a sudden all these things that seemed like they were coming at us for 2 years, all of a sudden they're coming around the other way. And there's a reality that's coming out, the truth that's coming out. But right now, one of the hardest things for people to do is to align themselves with that truth, right? Because they've just gotten so used to explaining it away. But David, this is what I said about changing the frequency, and this is my firm belief that this is true. And I will tell you something. I'll put everything on this. I'll put my life on the line and say if I could get enough people to do this exact thing, that you literally could change the world overnight. If we took all the rocks they throw at us and just use them to build bridges, if we took when they come out and say something awful and ignorant, if we responded on social media, if we responded in our hearts this way, and we really found reasons to mean it, if we responded in every conversation we had with "I love you," it's such a powerful thing. I love you. I see you. I see you. I see who you are. I see what you're doing. Right? You're letting them know I see what you're doing. Right? And thank you. Thank you for doing it. I appreciate what you're doing because it makes me better. What you do is your darkness brings all of my light forward. Your darkness pushes all the evil backwards, and it highlights who I am. So I thank you for that. I appreciate that. I value that. And I think it's a powerful movement to ask everyone to stop giving them power over us by increasing and magnifying the hatred and the evil that they're perpetuating. Because by responding with the same hatred, all we're doing is magnifying what they want. And if we would just withdraw and stop playing their game, then we can change the world. Literally 24 hours. 24 hours, you can completely change the world just by aligning yourself with the frequency of love, allowing yourself to be in love. Let your very essence, the nature of who you are, emanate love. It would be impossible not to reproduce and make love. You'll probably attract somebody who's in love with you. You'll find your kids will be more in love with you. You'll be more attractive to everybody. Probably dogs will want you to pet them. I'm telling you, it's so true.
It's so true. No.
You know it. So true.
And thank you for saying all that. There's a lot of courage to say what you just said. So thank you for saying that.
Man, look.
And we can't do it. Sometimes we think we can just do it alone, but the truth is we cannot. We can't get there alone. We're so connected. We have to recognize that we are connected. to everyone, especially the people that we are mad at.
That's right. That's right. Look, I've seen this happen, See, what we're looking at is, it's kind of like with the body, chiropractic, right? Now, in chiropractic, the idea is that if any part of the spine is out of alignment, then it pinches off the communication with some portion of the body, right? So the brain, as it goes down in through the spine and out to the nervous system, if it can communicate properly, then the natural divine intelligence that we all have, it will know what to do and it will naturally heal the body. But if the spine is out of alignment, then the body can't heal. But I'll tell you something. Every cell in the body is connected too. So, in addition, even if the spine is out of alignment, now what we're watching with the government is like the spine, right? That's the main structure. It's clearly out of alignment, right? It's unhealthy, very unhealthy. But even in that, how do you correct the body if you can't correct the spine? Well, the way you correct the body is every single cell is touching another cell. And if you follow that logic, then if you follow the cells and one cell from the brain communicated something to the cell next to it, and that communication traveled from cell to cell to cell to cell all the way down to the body, and all the cells then can communicate effectively with one another, and they're all communicating, then what happens is the body can correct anything. Matter of fact, the cells can correct the spine. And that's true. Now, in like manner, because all the cells are, right, they're just threefold entities. They're, a nucleolus, a nucleus, a nucleolus, and a cell body, right? They're little three-dimensional beings, right, in a little cell. And those cells can communicate with one another. They create their own torus energy field, right? And just by the intention, the thought, and the connection we have with our spiritual hearts, our spiritual senses, right? Our spiritual heart and our spiritual mind will those cells to do whatever we want them to do. That's why when you go to pick something up, it just happens. Your arm just moves and picks it up. If you were to describe the process, you couldn't. Right? Now, David's going through that right now. Right? He's going through that right now. Because part of what's happened is that there was a massive disconnect for a certain period of time, and it killed off certain cells, so his body is regenerating. Right? And it throws him in a little bit of a misalignment. That's why we're going to regenerate, massively reproduce stem cells to allow his body to return to its optimal functioning ability. And in so doing, they will still respond to his will. And if David says, if David knows it'll work, and he literally can direct those cells right within his own body, and he will naturally heal himself. Now, he'll heal himself anyways, it just might take longer. I mean, is that fair to say, David? Look, I know he's saying yes. I'll just keep talking about love.
Yes, I'm saying absolutely yes. Very well. Absolutely yes. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Now that's how the body works. Now, consider this, right? Now, I watched this happen. I was in the Riviera Maya, and we did this ancient Mayan cleansing ritual. And that was the first time I ever saw where they measured our aura. And I remember the witch doctor guy was like measuring our aura, and he was showing how small it was on different people. And then he got to mine, and he kept stepping backwards. He goes, well, you know what? You're a bad example because your aura is big. Now, I realized this. All of our aura can be big like that, right? All of our aura, even if you don't talk, if you just extend your aura and you allow yourself to visualize and make it real and allow that aura to reach out and touch others and connect with the love and the light and the beauty of this creation, and you allow it, by you shining, you give permission to others to do the same. Now, I'm stealing that quote from, I can't remember her name at the moment, but I'm saying that's the beauty of what we're doing. And now, Gunnar, I'll tell you what. In my opinion, you hear me say this all the time. If you are exceptional, you have an obligation to be exceptional. Right? You have an obligation. It's not just, the right to be exceptional. You were given abilities, talents, gifts. You have to put them to work. Now, the travesty and the way that the cabal, the order, the deep state has tried to break our heart, the way they've tried to break our heart, is by preventing us from being ourselves. They've tried to make us ashamed of who we are. They've tried to prevent us from using the gifts that we have. So instead of wasting our time arguing with them about nonsensical issues that don't have any purpose or meaning in the reality we want to create, spend your time being yourself. Discover and find out what the best version of you looks like, and don't compromise anything until you are exactly that. Now that can change the world. And you do that one person at a time. That'll change your kid's world. That'll change your wife's world. Change your world, obviously. Then the people you talk to, it'll start to change them. And they'll start to ask about what you're doing. And then it's perpetual. And just like in the body, how the cells will communicate from one cell to the next, the cells, as small as they are, will end up correcting the misalignment that is in the spine. Now, I'm proposing that as an absolute guaranteed methodology that we are going to use and are currently in process of using to correct the issues that we have seen in our political arena and in the government right now.
Right.
Because, now, hey, this is my biggest, obviously I'm in New York, and this, and I've always been, open-minded, that if someone, if a young girl gets pregnant and they have a abortion in the first trimester, like, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that, or if someone gets raped, in the first trimester. But here in New York, they've made it so that at 40 weeks, after a woman is then pregnant for 40 weeks, she can come in and say, I'm going to die if you take this baby out of me right now. I want an abortion. And they take the baby out of her at 40 weeks. They rip the baby out, with tongs, right? And if the baby lives, so now the baby's separate from the mother. It's outside. It's alive. The doctor not only can allow the baby to die if he wants to, he's not allowed legally in New York to let that baby live. Now, think about this. This is the most precious and pure, really, and I would even say the most powerfully connected to source energy, to God, to natural law. In that moment, that fetus, all it knows is complete and absolute dependency on its source, right? Because it's lived its whole life just, floating in the ether and inside of its mother. And now all of a sudden it's out. And the first thing that happens is horrifying torture as it's freezing cold because it was, in 98-degree weather, floating in water. It doesn't understand the texture of the universe it's in. And it's terrified, secreting massive amounts of adrenaline through its body. And then they can use that, and they can just allow the baby to die and drain off the blood and sell it. And they can do all those things legally, according to the laws here in New York. Now that is unconstitutional.
That's mind-boggling.
Absolutely mind-boggling.
Allowed. Yeah. Not to change subject at all, but I know that Lane Keller, how you put this together. I think she wants to come on and ask some questions.
Okay.
I just want to let you know that she's out there somewhere dialing in, I think.
Gunnar, we have callers on it? No? Oh,
yeah, we have one caller on right now. Yeah, do you want to?
I got it.
Oh, okay.
I got it. 754. Who's this?
Hey,
You're on
it's
with...
Lane.
Who's this?
Hello, it's Lane.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, it's Lane. Hey, Lane.
Hey.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead. Hey.
Well, first of all, it's a spectacular show, I must say. Whoever put this together was a genius.
Yes, she was.
No, I'm only kidding. So I wanted to know from David what the misconceptions about chakras are, and also, about the living aspect of crystals.
All right. I'm here. I'm not sure what the misconceptions about chakras are, Lane. That's a good question. It may just be that we don't fully understand what they are. They are energy centers in our body. They look like little Tauruses, and they're all colorful. They are full of color and frequency. They're not hard objects, and obviously the heart chakra is centered around our heart, our physical heart, and our third eye is centered around our ether chakra, centered around our pituitary in our forehead.
So I've heard that there are chakras that exist beyond the body, energetic centers that are located above the head, if you will. Are those real?
I believe they are, yes.
So do chakras...
I believe,
Go ahead, sorry.
I believe they go as high as like the 30th chakra, which would be way above the 7th or 11th chakra, yes. To me, those are very real. I think there's a connection between those and the dimensions that we access. I've
now,
always
does that have
felt
anything?
that.
I'm sorry. Does that have anything to do with our DNA and accessing those unused strands?
It might well have. I'm guessing here with you. It might well. I think that's a good question. It could well have something to do with that. So as we reactivate those missing strands and reactivate a full light body, as we become fully light bodied, which is what happens. That's what this quantum universe is about: being fully light beings, capable of creating anything far more amazing than we've ever imagined. That would be my short thumbnail sketch on it. I think you run into trouble once you start trying to hardwire those chakras to different dimensions or different things. People just shake it. They don't go there with you. All of these things are possible.
So how do you think the best way to go about it is? Do you think we should start with the chakras and then through accessing these additional chakras, will that activate our DNA?
It helps. All these things, everything just being clear helps activate the DNA. There are DNA. I'll send it to you. There are DNA activating meditations they're specifically designed to help you activate the DNA.
So
it's not going to happen overnight.
So one feeds into the other, probably.
Well, I think in that sense, yes. I don't think of it as linear. They're all connected. You're stirring energy, stirring a pot of energy inside yourself. It touches everything.
Oh, that makes sense. Stirring the pot of energy. I like that. So what about crystals? So you had mentioned on the phone that every facet of a crystal has a different method of activation?
Different method. Yeah, it has a different. It's like a programmable base on the crystal. Yeah, you can access the information in the crystal. Every facet, and it's even more complex than that. I had a very detailed discussion about crystals with some cool guys just a couple of days ago, out of the blue. The only thing about crystals, they're built from the bottom of every layer in the crystal. Just reading information on where things are in the world at that time. So starting at the ground level, the crystal built in layers up from the bottom. Let's say that crystal is an octagon. See all these layers of octagons of information. So each facet of this crystal is what I would call a programmable interface to the crystal, meaning you can program information into them. And they remember. And my partner in this speaks to crystals all the time. Many people that are really intimate with crystals all feel they talk to them and they hear information back like John speaking. It's a very esoteric and cool world there.
I have crystals that people have given to me over the years, but I've never actually been drawn to work with them. So how does one begin?
You're developing this, this ability to hear your quiet voice inside. That's why you need to be able to hear the crystal speak to you and trust that what you're hearing is true, is real for you. That just takes practice of being quiet a lot. And again, you're allowing this very quiet inner part of your being to come out and be more present in your life. When I started learning how to do telepathic communication with animals, I was about 18 at the time. We spent a lot of time just being very quiet, just listening to our inner voices, and then you just need to develop that slowly enough over time. Then you trust the voices, you trust what you're hearing. It might just sound like it's your own mind making that up. You have to not go there. That's trust. That's a trust that but quiet. You have to be quiet enough so you can hear things speaking to you.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I was just really curious about what you had to say about all that, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you being on this call, David. You've been very, very enlightening.
Oh, you're welcome.
And David.
Guys, we're always enlightening.
Thanks.
You're always what?
They're always.
I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
Then let me say one more thing, because there's a writer that I really respect. Really love it. He's a writer.
Yep.
He's written a book called Hearing God Speak Made Easy. It's worth reading. It's kind of silly title.
Hearing God Speak, right? That's what you said.
Hearing God Speak Made Easy. Yeah. So this writer, his pen name is Praying Medic. He's one of the best QD coders there is. I follow him on Twitter. He's just a good guy.
Yes.
Praying Medic.
Yes, I follow him also. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for putting this brilliant show together. And thank you for being your usual brilliant stuff. It was fun doing this with you.
Thank you, David. All right, we'll speak again.
Okay, I'm sure we will.
All right. Yeah.
We are going to shut things down, David.
All right.
And David, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure I can hear you just fine.
We're going to shut things down, and before you take off, I know that you are a man of purpose, and you are clearly. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you not succumbing to death and not allowing them to take you out, and making that choice to live and define them and in your own. Yep.
Well, I was not gonna let you get to the. I wasn't gonna let you get to the green girl first. You know that.
You son of a gun! I know. I thought I had her. I wasn't trying to celebrate you, but I was like, I win. But I guess it is what it is. So I have to say, I do appreciate it. I'd rather have you here as my friend than the green girl in some afterlife process. So we are all better. Certainly I am. That you are still with us, and I appreciate you, and I love you, and I am sincerely grateful that you are around to share the experiences, and that we got to put it on tape and talk about it a little bit. And is there anything, your one-liner, man, walking off the stage, you want to say to everybody before you depart today?
I lost you for a second. Hey, Gunnar, can you unmute me, please? I think I'm muted.
No, you're not muted. I hear you. You're good.
Okay, good deal. All right. Hey, I'm listening.
So David, what I want to know is, we're about to shut the show down. Is there anything else that you want to say to everybody before you go? You're closing. Drop the mic.
I'll just say one quick thing. All right. I know part of the underlying theme of the show is what's going on with all this, the RVGC, and what I thought Tank had to say about love, the frequency, emanating. That was the most important message of the whole night. So if anyone walks away with anything, just walk away with love in your heart, please, and gratitude in your thoughts. I know we hear it often. We are far more powerful than we have any idea. I'll just tell you that's so very true.
Yes, indeed.
I remember that every day as I think about opening the neurochannels in my brain to my body so that my arm will work like it used to. I think about that every day. I see it. That's going to help me heal faster than anything.
Well, I would imagine you'll get a little helping hand from all the energy of people who hear this and they think the same thing. And they can see you working just fine. I will tell you something. I will bet on it. I will bet on you every time that you will certainly is choosing life.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
You got it, man. All right, Hayden. I will talk to you later. I'm just going to close the call down.
All right, thanks.
Sorry, David. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but so David Hayden is a constant reminder to me of someone who has been faced with impossible odds over and over again. And everybody who hears this now and everybody listening in the future, I want you to know that you have faced impossible odds. And in the midst of that, somehow, some way, you are still here on the brink of the greatest moment in the history of mankind. And as you see the folly and tragedy that is playing out in front of you in the government, I want you to know that all of that is nothing more than an illusion. And the real change and the real power and the real thrust is held right within you, right within your heart and your mind. And you can change everything just in the way you choose to live, to speak, to act, and to think. That power is always present in you. It is not just fluff. It is not just talk. David Hayden, literally, they gave him a 1% chance of surviving the surgery. And that man is on this call today talking about a crystallized internet that I just received plans for, and it is incredible. Even if there's something that needs to be tweaked, we know that already works. We know that it's already there. Everything is just it's new to us, but it's always been there, and we're just rediscovering it. And we are remembering who we are. And I think it's essential that every day we take the time to just try to connect with who we are. And if you want to really know and remember who you are, take the time to connect with who you want to be. And then go out and be that. And don't let anybody tell you you're anything but that. And that's a choice you make over and over again every day. You choose life for yourself. And don't let them back you down. Do not retreat. Do not surrender. Everybody have a good night.